Yo, what is going on, everybody? Sorry for the long awaited tutorials, but I had a lot of personal stuff going on. But I'm back. And without further ado, I want to start off the tutorials on actual Blender imports. Um, Later on, we'll have to take in mind a few things when it comes down to adding different character assets onto your assets, but for right now, you just follow along with the tutorial. Uh, First you want to import your skeletal mesh that you'll be using uh, in Unreal, which for mine is Broly, so I know his key is 0552. We're going to import his PSK and import that PSK. Now, after you got your PSK installed, then import your U model. Same way apply. But before you import, you change the scale to 1 and import your model. After your model is installed, then you can go over here to your editor, click on the top, down to the bottom, SK, and you can go ahead and delete the armature off of it. And then you can hide the armature. And now from here, we can start editing. To edit what you want to edit, you first click on the asset that you want to edit, which mine's I will be taking off his necklace simply. Click on it, and after you click on it, you tab, and after you tab, you'll come into your editor. Uh, if you're trying to delete the faces or anything specific, like off of like the face, then you can go ahead and use the editor right here. This will delete like lines and like disconnect things, but still a deleter. But hit C, and then C will open up this menu where you can edit and you can delete uh, different parts of whatever you would want. Just keep that in mind. But for this instance, we want uh, the whole necklace off. So this is a 3D mode, so it can delete everything. It'll highlight everything uh, through the model. And if it's not highlighted, then it'll just catch the face and it just won't catch the back. So you just want to keep that in 3D mode if you're trying to delete a whole object off of your model. And just to make sure everything is going, don't want to catch none of the necklace, the arms. Yeah. All right. So now we can leave out of 3D mode and you can tab back into object mode. Now you have your new whatever you may be doing. One thing you do, you bring your armature back into the scene, unhide it, you parent armature deform. Oops. It should parent armature deform. Don't do it that way. Just click on the armature first and then make sure it says armature and the armature deform. It should look like that. That is the correct way. You just seen two errors, and if you run into that same error, make sure you fix that and make sure it says armature. But with that being done, now you can file and export FBX wherever you may want to save it. So I'm going to save it to the main file of my directory. You have to have a couple presets set so you can actually import it correctly. You want to select uh, objects, go down to geometry, make sure it's on face, and then with the armature, make sure to turn off add leaf bones. But In my instance, I have a preset already set to make sure that everything is still correct. And as you see, these are still the same settings and these apply the same way. So just make sure and make sure you have baked animation checked off. Export your FBX. In Unreal, we have my content browser open. And one thing I'm going to do is open my where I have it located, and you drag that asset over into your project. Just click on skeletal mesh and then find out what ID you're using, your character is using. Mine's is 0552, so that's the one I would be using for that one. And I would click on skeletal mesh, and then after you click on skeletal mesh, search up your character's ID number, and then import it, and it should come up like that. All right. So with that asset there, you can click on your character, boom, click on the asset, and apply it. With that, one thing you do is in the animation, under animation, in the animation class, you search up your number, and it would be his accessory, 0552. So his accessory doesn't have it, but if your character does have PSK, um, which in Unreal would be an ADP, if they have that, then you add that onto it. Which if I was using his hair, I would have to add on his hair, which as you see, 0552 hair. Then boom, I would click on the hair in animate class 0552 and add the hair to that, and that is how you get custom imports onto your character. All right. So let's now get into a coloring. So now, say for instance, you have your hair. All assets and everything that I'm using will be there will be a link to where you can get it. Won't be linked on YouTube, but it will definitely be a link to where you can get it, and that'll be through my Discord. Um, you will not have that folder, but you will be able to have access to this remake. So one thing you could do is create a material instance, and you could go ahead and name it whatever you want for real, for real. All right. So as you see, that's in my folder of my contents, and now I'm gonna go into it. With the remaker, you can recreate um his hair. I'll show you what I mean by that. So first of all, I'm gonna apply that to my character just so we can see what's going on. Okay, so right now we don't have what we need. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So with your uh with your asset just the way it is, you should click on it, copy the name. This is what I do personally. Go into F model, go to packages, search, and then search up the asset. Double click. Yeah. Scroll down until you get the decal one. Look for the parameter info. That's where you will find all of everything you need. Boom. And adding that to the decal. Go back into where you have your newly created asset. Click on your characters here. And now you'll have all their textures. That's how you would apply the textures onto the hair. The mask is something completely different, but sometimes it can apply through the mask as well. But for this instance, it is not. And if you want to get the green hair effect or color um for the eyeball 00, and you can just search up parent, and you can just parent that onto like whatever color or asset you may want to use that for, and then doing that will bring that color into the game for your specific character, and you will have perfect lines. All right, so now we are going to build our character. So, I mean, I already got I got my hair color texture. Just the model. Compile it, save it, and now we can get into building a character. I think I'm gonna start with base. So, when you're building a Spark and Zero character, you can find out where the idea is. Go into your character data, paste it in, drag it into your folder, copy it. Don't move it, but copy that asset. Um, if you by chance happen to have moved it, and that's moved the original character data, like the main character data that you never want to just take from the character data folder, uh, go down there to Spark and Zero, find out where character data is, which it should be pretty much under SS master data assets, and then boom, find out master data assets, and then your character data will be right here. If it's not, if you don't have it up in your favorites, save it up in your favorites so you can have easy access to it, and you can really just easily get to it. But with that being done, you could drag your new copy of your character data that you will personally be using for your character. Just because I'm building them up, I'm just gonna keep them uh, in the outside folder, so I don't have to keep on going into subfolders within that, and I could just stick to the main folder. After that, then what I always do is start with an S underscore and my AI number ID, and then I'll start naming my character. And then after you have that, uh, Control A and then C, so you can copy it all. Move down to costumes. If this original character has different costumes, you could go ahead and delete them. You should have different. You should have 0 array elements. Add your first array element, and then inside of the key, paste your ID along with the file model ID. And then after that, then go to your folder where you have your character. Click on the character himself, and then you can use the selected asset from your content browser. His ID is 0550, so 0550 would be his trial data, and that's what you would use for your trial data. Go ahead and save it, and that's how you would get your character. The first step to getting your character up and running in the game. Um, if you want to test out your character to see if he'll work in game, which I assure you he will work from what we're about to do right here, you would add an asset, a PDA, dynamic DA. So you would go to miscellaneous data asset, PDA, dynamic, and then you can name it whatever you would like, or whatever you based off your character. Holy, base PDA, and leave that. So go into your newly created PDA. You want to once go into your character data asset, grab your ID. In your protocol records, you go ahead and add an element, put your ID tag, and then from that you can put your character data in that element, and from there your character will be loaded in the game. I would really love it. I'm pretty sure you will love it as well. So, um, without further ado, we'll go into character editing. All right. So, character development. Um, I think we should start off with the MLS. The MLS controls a lot of different features pertaining to your character. The EXA 2, that would be a special move too. So for Broly, that would be his special charge, um, his full power charge, Kakarot. So an EXA 1 is, I think, Wow Instinct. Actually, this is, yeah, this is still Broly, so it wouldn't matter. That's his full power charge, Kakarot, and this was be Wild Sense. So, special move one, SPM one. If you go up here, you'll see at SPM one SD. SD is the before attack. OSD is before attack. SDs are before attack. So if I was to go into SPM uh, one SD, this is the before attack. This would be the cutscene before attack, and this would be the attack itself. The beam coming out, and this would be the SL. So you got SD and then SL. Okay, and then that's not only with special move one. That's with two, and it's high. These are that's still pertaining to after the attack. So want to keep that. I believe that's the cutscene. If there's a rush of any sort, and then leave out a SPM, and then you can go on the ult and then ult SD before attack, during attack, cutscene. So that's just to get a basic understanding of what the MLS is, and that's like how to control the MLS. And we're gonna actually change a couple of things in the MLS. And how to change the MLS, you search for that specific MLS, drag that into your folder, and copy it. You want to make a copy of everything that you're editing, because you don't want to edit off of the default uh, character data. I came to learn that I should leave an underscore after editing the MLS, and you'll kind of see why. Um, this is just uh, character development, personal character development that helped me grow on how to build a character, and you should follow along too. So, with that being done, after you have made the copy, you would click on it, and don't double click, but apply it into your character's data, so you can start editing off of the copy. Combination data will control like the ultimate data, like the ultimate cutscene. It has everything to do with the cutscenes. So if you're editing cutscenes or anything and things are not panning out right, you'll have to go into the combination data as well. Or sometimes it could come out of the combatives. The combatives. We'll get into that later. It's a lot of different complicated stuff, but these are the different cutscenes for these specific finishers. So uh this would be the after attack of player two's from player two's perspective of player one's attack. You don't want to have two mismatch cutscenes, so just take that in consideration. This is would be throw for player one, the player one's cutscene for the throw, and everything that has to do with the cutscene. But that's the MLS and the combination combined together. If you're editing everything in that, and that could come in a later on tutorial, but this is just a more speed run through of how to do everything pertaining to creating a character and editing in Sparking Zero. Effect color data type. This is it's basically everything that has to do with your character's aura, key, and stuff that's pertaining to like beam visuals. Not so much beam visuals, but safe as you tap a triangle, his key blast, that's what you would be editing, and his charge aura as well. So um I will have a help guide, which for you guys, I will have an updated help guide, and it will have a lot of useful different tools and assets that you could possibly use. I will get that to you guys soon, but this is a cheat sheet that I made for myself and ran off of, and this is what basically uh are the main key things of everything that has to do with um building a character, and just small cheat sheets. So right now we're working with the new enumerators. And these new enumerators, as you see, 20 would control the charge surrounding wind attack particles. So that's basically your charge aura and everything that has to do with your aura. All right. So on certain enumerators, you can add different type of effects. So SMB, I know for a fact can get SMB, GRP, cluster, and we can get clusters instead of just running off of regular greens, and it's just different type of effects that you can add. And then I think that you can, yeah, you can add fire as well if you want that to be a key blast. And I don't know what that would be. That would be 7. So it's either your key blast or your charge key blast, but 7 I believe is the charge key blast. But SMBGRP cluster green, just because I like to run with the clusters for my SMBs, and the SMB is 9 times out of 10 the key blast. So just remember that. Um, yeah. Changing these effects, you should stay within the same parameters as you see AURGRP underscore. Underscore would really be the limit of where you can go of anything. So stay within the parameters, and instead of using white stencil green, you can just use green. As you see, GRP underscore green. And instead of just using white stencil green, you could change your order group to green, but stay within those parameters, and that's how you would allow different auras to your character. So after you're done, um, you should have something that should still look similar to what it was previously, but the underscore, whatever your color may be, mine's for my pertaining to my character would be Broly. So I'm giving more of an uh, a green aura. So that's what it would be. The battle always aura with the help guide. You can check out which uh aura you would like to use. You can see over here in the description that um you can see what the aura that you're running off of does. At first I looked at the chart and uh I was kind of discouraged when I looked at it, and I didn't know what to really do at this point. But then later on, I understood what it everything was. So 9 times out of 10, I would stick with like the special consistent aura, and that would be uh like a Beerus type of aura. Just look at it like a nah, actually, because they didn't give him a always aura, but hmm. It's kind of hard to say because I really don't know who really specifically has a always aura in game. But if you see them with like a glowing color around them, then that's how it will look. But you'll see later on. But you could just try out different effects that's going on over here, and then this like this right here is special consistent spark level 3, Super Saiyan 3 lightning, Super Saiyan 2 lightning, and off of running off of this, I kind of understood everything else. Some things I just never tried, but I really stick to what I know, and the special consistent aura is what I stick with, and not that since Super Saiyan 2 or 3 lightning. But um because I'm gonna set UI data later, we're not gonna do that. We'll have to use other tools, and those will be linked to those creators later on. But all right, because this is about to be quite a tutorial, I'm just gonna give a quick rundown of what the common assets are. All right, let's talk about the common assets. So, starting with the numeric data. The numeric data basically controls the health, your blast stock, your aura type, your damage. It basically controls that. So that's what the numeric data controls. Same thing would apply here if you want to start editing. Instead of basically editing the default data, you would look up the numeric data and then make the copy. And after you make the copy, then apply it as we do or have done in the previous videos. So now in the movement data, this would control like your character's movement speed and basically everything that has to do with movement. Um, I would really keep this default unless you're really trying to do specific moves with your character. You want your character to move just a little differently. I haven't touched up on it too much, but if I was to do a tutorial on it, which sooner or later in in the future I will, but until then, I would just keep that the same or just copy a different character's movement data. Um, we can basically steps is kind of the same thing. Same thing applies like movement data and stuff. Dragon Dash, same thing. Homing data, same thing. Z-Burst, same thing. Reverse, Revenge Dash data, same thing. Aura data. This what I'm not really sure what this is honestly, so I'm not gonna really give any too much details on what the Aura outline charge data is, but the form change data, this would be your form change from one form to another. So if you're copying from a different character's form, then this would be something that you might want to look into. Um, Armor, have no idea, but combatives, very important when it comes to changing beam visuals or something that would kind of be pertaining to a character's beam or finisher or ult or cutscene, as to say, because sometimes if you're trying to mix and match and you're changing a lot of stuff but you're not getting the right outcome, um another thing you might want to look into is combatives, because that's a very useful piece of meat that is inside of the data folder that you will need. Really don't know too much about the individual replace transition action data. Don't know too much about that, but Blast Fort One, this would be uh, in your MLS considered the EXA one, which would be your not your special blast one, but your special move. So on the side you have your like your up down key when you're holding R2 or RB. You'll be or RT. You'll be you'll be prompted to either do a up down or your side move, which your side move is blast for 2. So if you're trying to change the name for it, you could just copy it and then apply the data, name it, and then after you name it, then you could go into it. After you go into that, you could click on this and hit the trash can and then start editing. But I would never do it like that, because if I edit it like that, then I would just be editing my default character's data, and I definitely do not want to mess up that data, because that could be very useful for anything later on in the future. Blast skill one, blast skill one. These are like the Kamehameha, Gauntlet gun. This is those moves. So same thing applies, just like both of the blast forts. You copy the asset, you browse it, make your copy, and then after you click your copy, you apply your copy, and then you start editing off of your copy. And this is how you would edit. Say for instance, if I had Gauntlet gun and I wanted to change that name, I would have that copy here, and I would go into it, scroll down just a little bit, hit the trash can, and then after I hit the trash can, boom, boom, I would be able to double click this and edit it. But I do not want to mess up my default character's data, so I will not play with it. Blast ultimate data. This is the ultimate data. This is the ultimate data that controls the your blast ultimate name and everything pertaining to your blast ultimate. So you can change a lot of different things within these parameters. You can change how down to how much it costs to use whatever you're using. So um with the common assets is really nitty gritty. You can really get really deep into detail and really know exactly what you're trying to do when you're trying to do it. So additional blast data, haven't ever tested with that, but um I have an idea of what can be done with that. Just haven't tested it yet, but I wouldn't do it. Bullet setting data. This is very important, especially when you are trying to change a all out attack. And if you want it to come out a specific way, if you want it to come out in maybe different forms, you may want it to come out in like I don't have no idea. Say for instance, if you want your Kamehameha to come out like a let's say Vegeta Super Saiyan 2 key wave attack or the key blast attack. This would be how you could change that. But your bullet visual data is the main visual of that settings. So this would be the settings of the attack. This would be the visual. So the visual is more so like the beam itself. Again, this is something that we will probably have to go more deeper into detail later on, and you can basically really get an understanding of the bullet setting data and the bullet visual data. Camera data, this would be your character's camera data. I wouldn't really change that because if you change your camera data, then depending on your moves that you're doing, it will not pan right because your character may be mismatched on size or something. So, no, that is something to really uh, take into consideration when you're messing with the common assets. The common assets is really, really important, and they go corresponding with the MLS and the combination. So, a lot of times I really don't have to make a copy of the combination nor go into the editing of a combination, but the a way I can just show you guys how to simply do things can really be done simply, depending on the teacher. And I feel as if video guides help a lot more than written guides. So I'm here to help as much as I can, play my part, and do as I do for the community. Um, Without further ado, I think we are about to start messing with the MLS again. So, because I already made my copy of the MLS, I can just double click it. And let's just get in there. My special move one. I already have my special move one because this is a copy of the MLS. Because let's just go back. Okay, go in here, or we just go to the home folder. Because this is a copy of the MLS that I'm using, um, I can easily just start deleting certain files out of it. Things that I may not want in the MLS, which in my MLS, I just do not, I would want to take out my cutscenes. So to make a cutsceneless move, you can just simply do as I just did. Take out the SD. The SD is how you would make a cutsceneless attack and how you can take out the scene for your cutscenes. So special move one, two, and remember SD is the before attack, so this would be the cutscene before the attack. And ultimate, and then take out the SD. And then, as always, after you make any edits, save it. And that would be how you would take your cutscene out. Now, um, EXAs. I have seen EXA SD and then EXA and then EXA. So I would probably guess that you could do the same thing with the EXAs, but as you see, this is just EXA2, EXA1. This does not have a SD on them, so if they did have SDs, I would be kind of curious on what they could do. If you test it out and you actually discover what that EXA does, if it has a SD on it, leave in the comments what it does, because I will not do it, but I'll leave it up to you if you decide to ever try it. I'm curious if it'll automatically just do it, but with that being done, you are taking out the cutscenes of the attack. And now, I guess I'll just show you guys what that does. Right, so as you see in the game, if I hit my special move one,
This is it!
no cutscene. In some instances, you will be able to learn how to change your move. Special move two, beam visual, and kind of get an idea of how you can do it. But All right, that was a nice brief run through of the common assets. Um, UI data. This is the UI data for your cut for your characters. So up here on the left hand side will be player one, um, right hand side player two. So that's what that will control. Um, Same thing. Search it up, and then after you make your copy, at wherever you have it, or have it, go click it, and then apply it, and then you start editing your UI data. Now, there are external tools out here. One specific would be uh, a character render tool. So it's actually an in-game character render tool. I'll link that in the description. That's made by a different creator. Shout out to them. Um, Props to them. And very, it's a lot. It's really that's very the most helpfulest thing that you could really use. Um, because I was really having a time of difficulty setting my UI data at a point in time. And when I got over that stage, that was just the best thing I could have got over. Battle assets. This is where your transformations and your forms and everything would happen at. So form change, this character, which is Broly, he would have two different forms, but I'm gonna take that out because we're gonna learn how to change forms with PDA and how to correctly change it in the most appropriate way, right? So leaving out of the battle assets, you really don't have to mess with none of this stuff, but except for story setting parameter. So this the story setting parameter is kind of sets where the character is located um in Spark and Zero. So how you could actually change the story setting parameter is go to the IDs, you figure out what character you want that your base character to be next to, and you would take that ID tag and you would copy it, boom, and then you would go into character data and then go into that character data, and after you go into that specific data, you would be able to scroll down, or you could just once you get pretty keen of where everything is, then you can start doing story. I usually close it and then I'll copy it and then paste it within my story setting parameter. But for in this instant, I kind of want him to be next to Broly because this is actually where he will be stationed. So that's really about the story setting parameter for now, as much as we will be given. Uh, Name info. This is how you can control your character's name. Because this is uh, a copy of that character's character data, you can automatically just start editing this. And as you do with renaming your special moves, you unlink it first, and you can do that all with everything at once. And in this instance, my character will be Broly, uh, Beyond Super, and we're just gonna say, no, 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 no. I'm just gonna copy that, paste that, and uh, base, and then Broly Beyond Super. Now, why I did it like this? The full name would be what's displayed uh when you're selecting a character in a character select. Short name, not really sure what the short name is. I'm pretty sure the short name is like what's displayed in the encyclopedia. Something I've heard that. Title name. Title name would be the form that is underneath of the character. So just remember that. And the event name would be uh the name that the game is calling out for when it is in game. So basically the uh the the description, or not even the description, but the subtitles. Sorry. All right. Getting a understanding of those assets could be very, very, very helpful for the latest and the next upcoming videos and tutorials, because to have an understanding of what all those assets does are very important, because they could come very, 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 very needy, and you may be curious on why your attack may not be working. So if it is not working, it could be called for one of the assets that I said would be one of the main keys that you would have to go to, which is just running back. The main things that you want to change, the main thing that's controlling everything honestly is really the MLS. But the combination data isn't intertwined with the MLS. So if you have a specific MLS file, special move 1 or 2, and if it has a cutscene, which if I search up SBM2, as you see, this combination file will pop up for special move 2 HD1P. So there's a cutscene, which means that there's probably a dash. 9 times out of 10, it's not a finisher, so that would be a dash. And then the ultimate is automatically a cutscene. So just take that into consideration and the combination data, and then remember the combatives data is very important as well, because if your attack is not popping up, then just go play with the combatives data, especially if you're taken from another character. You would want to make your character as identical to that character's data as possible, and if it's not as possible, identically, because you just don't want to as possible, because as possible will not be exactly. So that is another thing to very much take into consideration. Um, yeah, just to get a basic understanding of everything of that. Obviously, the sound data is what's calling for your character's sound, so just basically keep that the same unless you're playing with sounds. And I am not playing with any sounds, nor am I teaching about any sounds currently right now. So just wanted you guys to get a basic understanding of how to maneuver around the character's data, especially working with PDA. If you're going about it the blueprint way, we can get into that later on. But right now, mainly focused on PDA, because PDA, for me, is a more primary and stronger field for me. So I prefer to do PDA, and I know that's a lot of people that would prefer to do PDA as well, but they were only given the blueprint guide. So I'm just here to help them do my part as much as I can. But without further ado, on the next video, we will start playing with editing MLS and changing beams from, say for instance, Kamehameha. I'll change the Kamehameha from blue to red, and even if we want to make it green, we can make it green. So we're going to do that in the next video, but without further ado, I'll see you guys later.